You didn't come here by accident. There is a part of you, silent yet fierce, that longs to be seen, to be understood, and to be free. This part doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove itself. It only needs you to be brave enough to listen. And if you're still here, it means you've already begun to hear its call. Carl Jung once said that true light doesn't come from imagination, but from confronting darkness. Awakening isn't a dazzling moment. It's not a thunderbolt that strikes you from the sky. It's slow and painful, a journey inward where you dare to face the parts of yourself you once rejected. That's when transformation begins. Below are 5 powerful signs that you've passed one of the greatest challenges on the path of individuation. The shadow no longer dominates your life force. This isn't a milestone to flaunt. It's a profound state of being. You no longer live from your wounds. You no longer react from old patterns. You no longer seek others to fill the void inside you. You choose yourself, and that's what sets you free. Stay until the end of this video, because what I'm about to say may touch something deep within you. By the end, you won't be someone controlled by pain anymore. You've changed, and now it's time to see that. Sign 1. You no longer tell your story from a place of pain. There was a time when you told your life story like it was proof that you'd survived. You spoke of your wounds, the ones who hurt you, the moments of betrayal, as if to stop talking about them would mean being forgotten or even erased. You repeated the tale like an old mantra, not because you hadn't moved on, but because you didn't know who you were without that pain. When the shadow still ruled, you didn't tell your story to understand yourself. You told it to cling to an identity forged in suffering. Pain became your name. The story became your mask. You were the one who was abandoned, the one who endured, the one who always gave, the one who was never seen. And you told it to others and yourself, as if, without it, nothing made sense. Without the pain, you didn't know who you were. Maybe you sat once in a cafe with a new friend, and when they asked, "So what kind of person are you?" your answer didn't come from the present. It didn't come from your dreams, your gifts, or the pure essence inside you. It came from your tear-stained history. I was betrayed. I grew up in an unloving family. I always had to try twice as hard to be loved. You couldn't tell if you were holding on to the wound, or the wound was holding on to you. But then, one day, you grew tired of those stories. You stopped. Not because you forgot, but because you no longer identified with what happened to you. You still remember, but the memory no longer controls your emotions. It no longer sparks rage, no longer feeds that proud suffering, makes you unconsciously crave empathy. That's when you realize you've started living from a place deeper than pain. Now, you can speak of the dark chapters in your life without choking up, without exaggerating or downplaying them. They're just a part of the whole, nothing more, nothing less. Like pointing to a scar on your knee from a childhood fall you remember. You see it. But it doesn't ache anymore. And more importantly, you don't use it to prove how wounded or wronged you once were. You no longer need others to understand, to feel sorry for you, or to validate that you've been through a lot. You no longer want to be seen as someone who once suffered. You've lost interest in impressing others with your trauma. You don't need to leave a mark through tragedy. Now, your silence holds more weight than any story you ever told. What matters is, You didn't erase the past. You didn't deny what happened. You just stopped letting it define you. You no longer write your name on a torn page and cling to it like it's your legacy. You understand that the story had a role. It shaped you, woke you up, and turned you inward. But its role is done. That's the day the shadow lost its grip, not because it disappeared, but because you stopped colluding with it to survive. When you stop telling your story from pain, you make space to tell it from truth, from potential, from the present. You begin to speak of yourself as someone alive, someone transforming, not someone stuck in reflection. You don't need to justify your new path by detailing your old wounds. You just move forward because you know you have the right to. You've stopped using the past to build your future. You didn't discard it, you just stopped relying on it as the sole foundation of your identity. And that is one of the most subtle quantum leaps of consciousness. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." And from this point forward, you'll notice everything begins to shift. When you no longer tell your story from pain, you break free from the role of a character chained to the past. And right after, you discover something even deeper. The things that once triggered you so easily, that once sent you spiraling into emotional chaos, now pass quietly, leaving no trace. Not because you've become numb, but because you've learned how to stand amid emotion without being swept away. Sign 2. What used to trigger you now quietly passes by. In the past, just a cold glance, a careless judgment, or an untimely silence could touch a wound within you and ignite anger, insecurity, or the fear of abandonment. You reacted instantly, like a reflex to a wound that hadn't healed. And you believed that was just your personality, your way of protecting yourself. But in truth, that wasn't you. That was the wounded part of you screaming to be noticed. If you've ever felt that way, leave a sign in the comments, maybe just a number. Who knows, your story might be someone else's too. Now those same triggers have lost their power. A harsh comment doesn't stir you. A seen message no longer sends you spinning into a spiral of worthlessness. Someone walking out of your life doesn't ignite the need to know why. What used to awaken your shadow now passes through like wind across a still lake. You feel it, but the waters within remain undisturbed. That stillness isn't repression, it's emotional maturity. You no longer react from old programming. You respond from a place of conscious awareness. Imagine a moment. In a meeting, someone cuts you off or fails to acknowledge your contribution. In the past, you'd feel dismissed or disrespected. You'd shrink inward or flare up, even while maintaining a calm exterior. But now you still feel that old spark rise for a split second. Yet instead of reacting, you just observe. You take a breath. You don't have to jump in. You understand. This isn't about you. It's a test. Will you let the past speak on your behalf or not? When shadow ruled, you were stuck in a trigger-response loop, like a switch being flipped. But once you start integrating the darkness, a gap opens between stimulus and action, a space to respond with intent. no longer push to clear every misunderstanding to avoid being misjudged. Because you no longer need others to bring you peace. You've built that peace inside yourself. When triggers pass like a breeze, you're mastering your energy field. And so you move forward, no longer driven by the compulsion to react. You're not just showing emotional growth, you're seeing clearly what truly matters and what once filled a void. That's when you cross into a deeper awareness. You stop maintaining relationships born from lack. Sign 3. You no longer sustain relationships rooted in lack. Did you once call it love, attachment, or sacrifice for others? In truth, many connections you clung to weren't alive because they were fulfilling, but because you feared the emptiness that would follow. You didn't hold them out of love, but out of fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of loneliness, fear that without someone beside you, you'd have to sit with yourself, and that was once the scariest thing of all. You once said, "I can't leave this relationship even though I'm not happy." But ask yourself, can't leave or just clinging because it gave you the feeling of someone being there? Sadly, sometimes having someone doesn't mean anything. It can make you feel even lonelier than being alone. We've all confused things. Thought attachment proved our worth. That if someone stayed, it meant we were lovable. That belief made you cling to connections long decayed, like keeping a broken door closed for fear of the draft. You endured, sacrificed, and shrank yourself to fit someone else's mold. That's not love. That's a wounded compromise. You stayed with people who didn't listen, afraid no one else would care. Replied to those who made you anxious, fearing no one else would remember you. Kept meeting those who diminished you. Because at least it meant you existed in someone's world. But the cost was losing yourself. Then one day, you woke up and looked at your contacts. Names kept from habit, lifeless conversations, meetings with no real connection. You realized you no longer wanted to try. You'd become clear-headed enough not to need daily messages to feel worthy. You no longer needed a lover to prove affection with promises or gifts. This isn't cold detachment. It's respecting yourself more than needing others to stay. It's honesty. Honesty with the feeling, I'm not myself around this person. Honesty in seeing, I'm being drained, not nourished. You understand that maintaining a relationship just because you invested time, because it's been years, or because they need you, isn't love, it's emotional bondage. And you don't want to be tied like that anymore. Think of a friend you once called a soulmate. You talked all night. They got you like no one else. But over time, life diverged. The talks grew heavy. They called only when sad, only when needing your ears. But they stopped asking how you were. Every meeting left you drained. You knew it. But you stayed, scared to lose someone once important. Until one day, you didn't talk anymore. Not from hate, but from knowing friendship isn't a duty. Real connection can't thrive on exhaustion. Carl Jung once wrote, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." That's the truth. Loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's being with those with whom you can't be yourself. When you stop clinging to relationships from fear of being left, you create space for real bonds. You stop forcing understanding. You no longer need to convince anyone of your growth or justify why you can't stay in soul-suffocating places. Your energy, just by being true to yourself, starts saying more than words ever could. And unconsciously, it activates something in others who haven't crossed their thresholds yet. Some will leave, some will draw closer, but from a new place of authenticity, not need. And you'll be at peace with both. Because relationships no longer define your center. Now, your center defines them. In this new order, whatever remains does so because it truly resonates, not because it's forced. This shift in how you relate to others subtly reconfigures your entire reality. What once felt essential now gently fades. This isn't rejection. It's clarity. Born from knowing your darkness so well, you no longer need to project it onto others. You've moved to a different frequency, one that doesn't apologize for evolving. You no longer ask for forgiveness for choosing your truth, and that alone proves your old ego no longer leads your relationships. Now, it's your soul. And your soul only chooses what nourishes, uplifts, and reminds you of who you are. From this space, you understand the true purpose of companionship, not to complete you, but to share who you've become. You no longer seek shelter in others because you've become your own safe space. And this energetic sovereignty doesn't mean isolation. It means soul-level maturity. You stop carrying emotions that aren't yours. You stop absorbing what others refuse to transform. You stop falling into the trap of healing those who haven't chosen to heal themselves. You stop shrinking to be enough by becoming a smaller version of you. Because now you know, true love isn't disguised sacrifice. It's pressureless presence, unchained connection. And in that clean, quiet connection, the most powerful things begin to unfold. You become because you've become better, but because you're now safe enough inside to stop hiding. From that moment, you become more fluid. You can change without feeling like you've betrayed yourself. You can say, "Yesterday I wanted peace, and today I want adventure," without contradiction. Because you're no longer living to preserve a fixed story of me. You live to express your essence, something nameless, shapeless, but always alive and true. When you stop clinging to the old ego, something quiet but powerful happens. You stop choosing your life from fear. And instead, you act from a deeper, calmer place, where the noise of expectations and panic has subsided. A place where you can truly hear yourself, uninterrupted by the past or hurried by the future. Sign 5. You no longer choose from fear, but from stillness. This is an invisible but fundamental shift. Carl Jung once wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." When you begin looking inward with the eyes of truth, you realize fear is not a reliable compass. Peace is the real guide. And if fear drives your direction, you'll only wander old lands in new costumes. A major transformation begins when you ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And then you realize, so many choices were once abandoned simply because you didn't believe you were worthy, or you didn't dare to take the risk, or you couldn't bear uncertainty. But you also realize something else. When the mind is still enough, fear is no longer the enemy. It's just a signal, not a sentence. A familiar example. Before, you were always in a rush to stabilize your life. The house, the job, the relationship, everything needed to follow a safe plan. You rushed into commitments, rushed to control, rushed to freeze your options because you thought, if I don't act fast, I'll be left behind. But later, you began to ask, who am I rushing for? What am I running from? And when you stopped rushing, you also stopped fearing delay. Because you understood, speed doesn't matter when you're finally going in the right direction. Stillness is not a vague, passive state. It's the foundation that makes decisions clear. You choose a relationship not because it makes you less lonely, but because it reflects your peace. You take a job not for the high salary, but because it doesn't make you betray yourself every morning. You decline an opportunity not because you're lazy, but because you know you're not truly ready, and you have nothing to prove. From this place, you begin to live differently. You start saying no without long explanations. You step back from conversations that make you feel small. You stop making choices to please others and start making them to preserve your inner clarity. You see clearly, what's born from fear always carries limitation, but what's born from stillness opens space for growth. You no longer ask, what will people think? But instead, is this true for me? You no longer live to avoid mistakes, you live to explore. And so, you're no longer confined to your comfort zone. You can try, change, return, or move forward, always from the root of listening to yourself, not from fear of judgment or failure. You used to be someone manipulated by fear in every situation. Each decision was haunted by worst-case scenarios. You only moved when there was no worse option left. Now you don't live that way. You act not because you're cornered, but because you want to step forward. And that changes your entire energy. Not, I do this because if I don't, I'll suffer. But, I do this because I'm peaceful enough not to be shaken by suffering if it comes. Stillness doesn't eliminate fear. It simply keeps you from being controlled by it, like how you once avoided deep relationships out of fear of getting hurt. Now, you still know pain is possible, but you don't let that fear stop you from opening your heart. You understand. A heart that can break and remain open is a heart that has matured. Then you look at your life. There are still challenges, still storms, but instead of reacting in panic, you observe. Instead of shrinking, you breathe out. Instead of dodging, you walk straight in, with open eyes, a steady heart, and a clear awareness. I choose this, not because I fear losing something else, but because I truly want to live aligned with my most honest self. No more decisions made in panic. Every choice now is an act of trust. And strangely, from that place, life begins to unfold naturally. What's right comes without force. What no longer fits quietly fades away. No resistance, no wrenching heartbreak, just clarity and consent. By now, you've moved through many inner layers, not to become someone new, but to slowly peel off the masks that no longer serve you. From someone who told stories through wounds, you've become someone who lives through truth. From someone triggered into reaction, you've become someone who observes without being swept away. From someone who clung to toxic relationships, you've become someone who protects the sacredness of your inner world. Not everyone makes it this far. The path of individuation is not for those who want quick, easy, or outsourced transformation. It's a quiet, demanding road, but the only one that truly leads you home to who you are, not hidden under expectations, conditions, or not a striking appearance. You might even be silent, yet your presence makes others sense something extraordinary. This is the first and most evident sign of a powerful aura. Natural magnetism, effortless and unforced. Carl Jung once said, "The sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being." A person with a powerful aura isn't simply kind, friendly, or charismatic. In truth, they are individuals who have embarked on a journey of confronting themselves, daring to gaze into the dark corners most people hide. When someone reconciles with their shadow, their energy carries a distinct quality: authentic, whole, and irresistible. This magnetism doesn't stem from trying to be liked, but from ceasing to need to prove anything to the world. That freedom radiates as a force others can feel. From a psychological perspective, this phenomenon can be explained by human sensitivity to inconsistency. When someone says one thing but their energy conveys another, others feel uneasy, even repelled. Conversely, when an individual is aligned, when their thoughts, feelings, and expressions are in harmony, they emit a signal that others' brains instantly recognize. This person is real. And humans are always drawn to truth, even if they're not consciously aware of it. You see this in everyday life. Some teachers, without shouting or exuding sternness, command a classroom's silence the moment they enter. Some leaders, without grand speeches, inspire trust and calm in their teams simply by being present. Some artists, without elaborate costumes, hold an audience spellbound just by standing on stage. What do they have in common? Not persuasive skills or social tricks, but an aura born of a deep connection to themselves. Here's an intriguing example. Observe young children. Unburdened by societal biases, children respond directly to energy. Some people walk in, and kids cling to them instantly, laughing and drawing close, while with others, they're cautious or even burst into tears. Animals are similar. Dogs and cats gravitate toward those with calm energy and shy away from those who are anxious or guarded. This isn't a coincidence. It's clear evidence that your aura speaks to the world before you even open your mouth. Jung believed that within each of us lies a collective unconscious, a reservoir of archetypal images shared by humanity. When someone taps into this deep layer within themselves, they connect not only to their own essence, but to the universal human experience. Their presence evokes a vague familiarity in others. I've known this person before. This isn't an illusion, but a resonance from the depths of the collective unconscious. A person with a powerful aura unconsciously touches this shared source, radiating an energy that intrigues and reassures others. However, this natural magnetism isn't always comfortable for the person who possesses it. They often become the center of attention without wanting to be. You may have experienced this. Strangers strike up conversations when you just want quiet, or every eye in the room turns to you, leaving you flustered. Some even feel burdened, as others constantly seek them out to share, confide, or ask for advice, as if they carry an invisible sign. Safety is here. This is a natural consequence of a strong energy field. Your presence radiates a support that others unconsciously feel. The key is to recognize that this magnetism isn't for show. It serves your journey. Jung emphasized that if someone ties their identity to their persona, they'll forever chase external validation and lose themselves. In contrast, through individuation, you understand that attracting attention isn't the goal, but a byproduct of becoming whole. Instead of asking, "How do I get people to notice me?" you begin to ask, "Am I living true to my essence?" That question frees you from depending on others' gazes. In our modern society, we often emphasize impression-making skills, body language, or secrets to charisma. But these techniques only scratch the surface. Someone with a powerful aura doesn't need to memorize tricks, because their magnetism flows not from technique, but from inner integration. When you are a unified whole, the world reflects that with natural attention. That's why you draw eyes without trying. Interestingly, this magnetism doesn't just affect people, it influences life's circumstances. You might notice you're often chosen to lead, given opportunities, or inadvertently become the center of events, even when you're not seeking it. The world responds to your presence because you carry a unique frequency, the frequency of someone living authentically, not as a borrowed character. When you understand this, you stop wondering, "Why are people looking at me?" and start asking a deeper question, "What will I do with the energy I carry?" For a powerful aura is both a gift and a responsibility. It grants you influence but demands that you live consciously, ensuring that magnetism doesn't become a tool for manipulation or boasting. Sign 2. You sense energy before words are spoken. If the first sign of a powerful aura is the ability to attract attention effortlessly, the second sign operates in reverse. The ability to sense the world before it reveals itself through words. A person with a powerful aura doesn't just influence, they are a living antenna. This phenomenon is sometimes called emotional empathy, the ability to accurately read another's emotional state through their eyes, posture, or even the invisible atmosphere they carry. Research shows that those with this ability often have heightened activity in brain regions tied to mirror neurons, cells that let us feel others' emotions as if they were our own. This explains why you might feel restless in a tense room or at peace beside a calm person, even without a word spoken. Picture a musician with perfect pitch. A single note reveals its exact tone, while others hear only sound. A person with a powerful aura is similar. but instead of sound, they hear the emotional notes of others. The world may be noisy with words, but you hear the underlying melody, what's hidden behind the social masks people wear. Sometimes this manifests as a gut feeling. You might decline an invitation for no logical reason, only to later find the event went awry as you sensed. Or you suddenly think of an old friend, and minutes later, they reach out. Jung called these synchronicities meaningful coincidences linking the inner and outer worlds. But the point isn't their mystical nature. It's that your intuition reveals a connection to a broader flow beyond personal consciousness. However, this ability to sense before words isn't always a gift. It can be exhausting if you don't balance it. In a tense room, you don't just observe stress. You feel it as if it's yours. This can leave you confused. Is this my emotion or someone else's? As a result, many with powerful auras tire easily in crowded settings where signals overlap. This is a challenge, but also a sign of your refined, sensitive energy field. Imagine you have a special radio. While most pick up one or two basic channels, yours catches hundreds, frequencies of joy, sorrow, anxiety, and hope. It's no wonder you sometimes feel overwhelmed. Yet, this radio gives you a rare advantage, the ability to shape decisions, actions, and relationships based on signals others miss. As Jung often reminded, the key is distinguishing intuition from anxiety. Anxiety is a projection of unhealed fears, noisy and repetitive with what-ifs. Intuition, however, is a calm certainty. This is true. Those with powerful auras learn to listen to that quiet certainty and trust it, even without immediate logical proof. This is why you often become the one everyone confides in. Others feel you understand them without lengthy explanations. They might start a story with a few words, and you grasp its essence. In a world craving understanding, your energy is a rare mirror, reflecting others' emotions truthfully. This fosters instant trust, sometimes surprising them with how quickly they open up. Do you recognize traces of this intuition in your life? Moments you couldn't explain logically but knew were true? If so, share a reflection in the comments. Sometimes, seemingly personal stories are the threads connecting us to the collective unconscious Jung described. Thus, this isn't merely a social skill, but the result of living closer to your unconscious, where intuition becomes an additional sense. As Jung affirmed, when we tap into the depths of the unconscious, we not only understand ourselves better, but also become an invisible bridge to other souls. That's why your aura doesn't just radiate outward. It opens an inner door to heightened awareness. Sign 3. You cause the physical world to respond to your presence. With the third sign, we step into a deeper dimension. The physical world begins to respond to your presence. Not only people, but also the phenomena around you shift, as if the material environment recognizes you and vibrates in tune with the frequency of your energy. You may have experienced this without realizing it. A light flickers when you enter a room. Your phone suddenly overheats or shuts down inexplicably during intense emotions, or an old clock in the house stops ticking only to start again when you touch it. Many dismiss these as random coincidences, but when such events repeat, you begin to notice. There is a strange connection between your presence and how the physical world behaves. We can understand these phenomena through biology. The human heart emits an electromagnetic field measurable at a strength far greater than the brain's. When you experience intense emotions, this field shifts significantly, sometimes affecting sensitive devices around you. But limiting the explanation to biology misses a crucial aspect: the spiritual experience it holds for you. When these events occur, you don't just see a broken phone or a flickering light. You sense a message, a sign that the universe is speaking to you through matter. Imagine you enter a tense meeting room where everyone is hunched over, and the fluorescent lights above flicker off and on again the moment you speak. To others, it might be a mere electrical glitch. But to those who are sensitive, it feels like a peculiar punctuation, a way the physical world individuation journey. It shows that your conscious and unconscious are powerful enough to ripple the surface of reality. The question isn't, how do I control this? But how will I use this connection to better understand myself and the world? Intense emotional states can alter the autonomic nervous system, affecting heart rate and, consequently, the electromagnetic field around your body. But reducing this to biology overlooks the symbolic value Jung cherished. He believed non-random physical phenomena are the language of the collective unconscious expressing itself in daily life. When a light flickers, a device malfunctions, or a breeze opens a door just as you're pondering a decision, the question isn't, why does physics behave this way? But what is my inner self urging me to see? Those with a powerful aura carry a unique gift. They live in a world where the boundary between psyche and matter blurs. A dream may step into reality. A fleeting thought may set the world around them in motion to respond. In those moments, they realize they are not separate from the universe, but part of its grand dance. This is neither coincidence nor cheap magic. It's evidence that you are living closer to archetypes, the collective unconscious, and your authentic self. When you recognize this, you see the world not just as an external stage, but as a delicate mirror reflecting every beat of your soul. Sign 4. You instinctively know how to protect your energy. You'll notice a clear response within yourself, an instinctive need to protect your energy, to set boundaries to preserve your soul's integrity. With a powerful energy field, you not only project influence outward, but also absorb and process energy from the world. Your survival instinct speaks, "I must learn to safeguard this light." You may have wondered why you tire easily in crowds, or feel most at ease in solitude, while friends thrive in noise and gatherings. Others might label you distant, unpredictable, or overly sensitive. But the truth is, this isn't a weakness. It's the natural mechanism of someone with a powerful aura. Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people about one, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself." Those with a powerful aura carry an inner world so complex that only they truly understand it, requiring moments of solitude to rebalance and commune with their soul. In practical terms, this can be explained as emotional overload. When your nervous system processes too many signals, noise, light, and others' emotions, your body enters a state of stress. With a powerful aura, your capacity to receive signals is heightened, making overload more likely. Your instinct to protect your energy acts as a natural barrier, shielding you from being swept away by waves that don't belong to you. This explains why you often need to retreat after social interactions, like a warrior returning to camp to tend wounds after battle. Picture yourself as a finely crafted crystal vase. Crystal catches light, casting radiant rainbows, but it's also fragile if not cared for. Those with a powerful aura are similar. They shine, they radiate, but they're keenly aware of their light's fragility. Instinctively, they establish boundaries, limiting draining relationships, choosing environments carefully, and reserving space for themselves. This isn't selfishness, but a form of soul preservation. This is a moment to pause. Reflect on times you felt exhausted without a clear reason, or left a gathering with a heavier mind than when you arrived. How much of that was truly your emotion, and how much was energy you absorbed from others? You don't need to answer immediately, but by honestly looking within, you take a step toward a new level of maturity in protecting your soul. In Jung's philosophy, this process is tied closely to confronting and integrating the shadow. By facing your darker aspects, you realize you neither can nor need to please everyone. You know your limits, what you won't tolerate, and the space you need for yourself. In other words, you stop wasting energy maintaining a perfect persona for the world. You learn to let go, to say no calmly. From this, you protect your precious energy. For example, you might cancel a plan at the last minute because you feel drained, despite logic urging you to go for politeness' sake. Or you choose a quiet cafe corner over a lively party. Others may find you hard to read, but in truth, your body and soul are teaching you to listen to yourself. This is a manifestation of instinctive wisdom, a trait those with powerful auras often possess. Interestingly, by setting boundaries, you inadvertently create a safe energy field for others. Many notice that when you enter, discord settles, arguments soften, as if your inner stability ripples outward. This isn't because you do something specific, but because you're so practiced at preserving your integrity. That steadiness unconsciously spreads to those nearby. reminders that you're delving deeper into the journey toward your authentic self. And that journey isn't over. The final sign will reveal one of the most wondrous truths: the power of manifestation, where your thoughts don't just stay in your mind, but touch reality. If you find value in what you're hearing, leave a like or subscribe as a small way to keep this flow alive. Who knows, perhaps that simple act is a piece of the synchronicity the universe is sending you. Sign 5. The things you think about often, coincidentally, come to pass. The thoughts you hold, the fleeting desires in your mind, the silent images in your dreams, they seem to step into reality unexpectedly. Not because you control everything, but because there is a mysterious harmony between your mind and the flow of the universe. Have you ever experienced this feeling? Thinking of a friend you haven't spoken to in ages, only for your phone to ring moments later with their name? Or fervently wishing for a job opportunity, and within that same week, an offer from that very field appears? For many, this is luck or coincidence. But for those with a powerful aura, it's an experience that repeats so often it cannot be dismissed as mere chance. It's proof that the energy you emit is weaving invisible threads, connecting your soul to the fabric of reality. Carl Jung, in collaboration with quantum physicist Wolfgang Pauli, introduced the concept of synchronicity. This isn't a random coincidence, but a resonance between the inner and outer worlds. When someone carries a strong energy field, their unconscious acts like an electric current touching matter, creating reactions that science still struggles to explain. Jung believed that psyche and matter are not entirely separate, but two facets of a unified reality, which he called unus mundus. For him, this is when external events and internal states meet, not through cause and effect, but through shared meaning. When you dream of a symbol, and the next day that symbol appears in real life, it's not just an illusion. It's a whisper from the collective unconscious, the world speaking to you in the language of symbols. Those with a powerful aura, living closer to the unconscious, frequently step into such moments where the boundary between imagination and reality blurs. From a modern psychological perspective, this can be partly explained by selective attention. When you focus intensely on something, your brain becomes more attuned to related signals, making you notice opportunities others overlook. But this doesn't fully account for why a vague thought aligns so precisely with an event that sends shivers down your spine. Jung would say, logic is only part of it. The rest comes from the mystical depths where the personal unconscious touches the collective unconscious, rearranging life's circumstances in unpredictable ways. Imagine yourself as a musical instrument. When you play a melody, the universe, a grand symphony, finds notes of the same frequency to resonate with it. A person with a powerful aura is like a sensitive string, where the slightest touch is enough to make the surrounding space vibrate. So when you think of something with focus and intense emotion, you send a frequency into the universe, and the universe responds by bringing forth events that align with it. One of our channel's followers once shared that before meeting the love of their life, they had vividly imagined an ideal companion. Not a detailed list of appearance or profession, but a feeling, safety, connection, simple joy. A few months later, they met someone who embodied that feeling in a seemingly random situation. Those with a powerful aura don't create that person from nothing. Rather, They align their energy with a possibility already latent in the flow of life. Others notice their dreams act like premonitions, dreaming of a road, then days later stumbling upon that exact road while lost. Dreaming of flooding water, followed by a significant decision tied to letting go. Jung believed dreams are a gateway connecting consciousness to the unconscious, and for those with a powerful aura, this gateway is wider. Thus, the inner and outer worlds don't merely run parallel, they mirror each other. What's remarkable is that this ability isn't just an intriguing coincidence. It can become a tool for manifestation if you know how to use it. When you set a clear intention and nurture it with authentic emotion, it's like shooting an arrow into the future. Your powerful aura makes that arrow fly farther, faster, and more accurately. This is what many traditions call the law of attraction, but through Jung's lens, it's deeper. A sign you're living closer to your authentic self, which inherently holds the power to shape reality. However, Jung also warned, this power comes with responsibility. If you let fears or unhealed wounds dominate your mind, you may unintentionally draw negative experiences to yourself. Thus, individuation isn't just about unlocking the power of manifestation, but also about Sometimes a single act of sharing can unlock a door you've kept shut for too long. In reality, many women spend their lives trying to be good, only to feel exhausted, angry, or even depressed. That's the shadow, suppressed in the unconscious, seeking a way out. Ironically, the harder someone tries to maintain an image, the more likely they are to shatter when the shadow surges unexpectedly. A courageous woman doesn't cling to an image. She chooses truth. Modern psychology confirms, long repressed emotions don't vanish. They become pathologies, behavioral disorders, or emotional disconnection. Jung was ahead of his time, asserting that what remains unconscious destroys us. The only way to heal is to shine the light of awareness into the darkness. Think of this process like digging a well in a desert. On the surface, everything seems dry and barren, but if you dig deep enough with persistence, you'll reach an underground spring. The shadow is similar. Hidden within it is not only pain, but also instinctual wisdom, primal vitality, raw intuition, and untapped strength. A woman who dares to face her shadow attains a rare freedom. Freedom from the grip of the past, from guilt, from inner conflict. From there, she becomes serene, not because she's silenced the storm, but because she's learned to ride it. She's no longer afraid of feeling unkind or insecure because she knows these are parts of being human, not a verdict. Remember, darkness isn't the enemy of light. It's the backdrop that makes light possible. Just as a candle shines brightest at night and stars appear against a pitch-black sky, the shadow is the necessary contrast that gives depth and meaning to the light within you. Facing the shadow isn't confined to therapy. It's a living process, starting with specific habits where you pause, look directly, and don't retreat when you encounter parts of yourself you dislike. The first practice, simple yet powerful. Write down the things you're ashamed to admit to yourself. Don't embellish or justify, just write. Write about the envy you brushed off as petty. Write about the anger you swallowed because it wasn't worth a scene. Write about thoughts you've had about family, partners, or friends. Thoughts you felt shouldn't exist. Next, choose a recent situation that triggered a strong reaction. A criticism that offended you, an argument where you lost control, or a moment you overreacted. Don't rush to self-blame. Instead, ask, is this reaction truly about the present, or does it touch an old, unhealed wound? In that moment, you're tracing the shadow's footprints. Finally, practice forgiveness, not for others, but for your past self. Close your eyes and picture an older version of you, the one who was angry, selfish, weak, or made poor choices. Sit beside her, like an older sister, and say, I see you. I won't deny you anymore. This isn't about excusing mistakes. It's an act of compassion that reclaims the abandoned parts of your being. Number 3, Quality 3, connecting with emotion and intuition. When a woman bravely steps into her darkness, what she gains is not collapse, but a soft yet profound voice she had forgotten. Her primal intuition and subtle instincts buried beneath layers of rational masks. This is when she touches a core quality, harmony with the anima, the psychological archetype Carl Jung described as the soft, emotional and intuitive soul within every person. In Jung's analytical psychology, the anima represents the feminine aspect in the unconscious of men, but it also symbolizes the emotional, intuitive, and inner sensing elements in both men and women. When a woman lives too much through reason, control, achievements, and roles, neglecting her true emotions or inner voice, she gradually becomes rigid, disoriented, and disconnected from her inner vitality. She excels at planning, but no longer knows what she feels. She makes rational choices, but lives with an unnamed void in her heart. That void is a sign that the anima has been neglected. A woman who cannot be shaken is not always certain, but one who trusts her vague feelings, those that reason cannot explain, but the soul understands clearly. Intuition is the language of the unconscious. Emotions are signals the soul sends to the surface of consciousness. When the anima is heard, a woman becomes refined without ostentation, steadfast in a gentle way. Take a real-life example. You're in a seemingly perfect relationship. The other person is good, dependable, with nothing wrong. Yet deep inside, something feels off. Not because they're bad, but because you're not yourself in that relationship. You feel confined, disconnected, as if your soul can no longer breathe. If you're detached from your anima, you might dismiss this feeling with logic. What's the big deal? Or, I'm probably overthinking. But if on paper, every morning or when your mind feels chaotic, it doesn't need to be eloquent or grammatically correct. Let the words flow like an uncontrolled stream, for they are not just words, they're the stream of your intuition being unlocked. Another quiet but profound practice is spending time with images, symbols, music, and intentional daydreaming. Jung called this active imagination, where you allow images to arise from the unconscious and engage with them as if speaking to a part of your soul. Close your eyes and picture a space, observing who or what appears. Don't control, don't judge. Just watch, converse, and ask questions. This is how intuition begins to speak, not through logic, but through symbols, colors, movements, and vague emotions. Let these images guide you to places words cannot reach. Number 4, quality 4, not identifying with social roles. Once a woman learns to listen to her true emotions, trust her intuition, and let the anima guide her, she sees something she once took for granted. Much of what she thought was herself is merely a role. Much of what she strives to achieve, maintain, or accomplish doesn't stem from inner needs, but from society's labels imposed on her, what Carl Jung called the persona. The persona isn't inherently bad. In Jung's analytical psychology, it's the social mask necessary for integration, communication, and acceptance in a community. But the problem arises when people forget it's just a mask and start believing it's who they are. A woman might be an excellent leader, a devoted mother, a talented artist, but if she fully identifies with those roles, she's losing herself without realizing it. Picture the persona as the outfit you wear each day to step onto life's stage. At work, you dress in professional attire. At home, you wear the mother's role. On a date, you slip into an alluring dress. But if you never shed these layers when alone, if you don't know who you are without pleasing others, you're living outside your true self. Eventually, you'll feel suffocated, as if wearing too many layers to breathe. A steadfast woman maintains a private inner space where she's allowed to be no one, free from maintaining an image or proving anything. There, she can be vulnerable, unsteady, clumsy, even unkind, and still not lose self-respect. She knows her worth doesn't come from playing roles perfectly, but from living authentically. Modern psychology shows that over-identifying with social roles can lead to an existential crisis when those roles are lost. A woman who lived for her career may fall into depression upon retirement. A mother who lives entirely for her children may feel invisible when they grow up. A perfect wife may panic when her marriage falters, not just from losing a partner, but from losing the image of who she was. This isn't a personal failing, but a consequence of a society that forces people to define themselves by function rather than essence. If these ideas resonate with you, or have ever crossed your life as a vague, unnamed feeling, leave a sign for us, perhaps a like or a share of this post. Not to spread a clever message, but to create a space where women can be themselves, free from roles. A woman who cannot be shaken maintains a clear distinction between role and essence. She plays her parts, but doesn't dissolve into them. She can excel in many roles without needing to prove her worth. This makes her adaptable, free, and resilient. When one role ends, she doesn't lose herself. She merely changes scenes. Detaching from the persona doesn't require dramatic acts. Sometimes it starts with small steps, saying no to an invitation if it doesn't feel right, even if you fear being seen as unapproachable. Admitting, "I don't know," when uncertain, instead of upholding a knowledgeable image. Withdrawing from a conversation that feels inauthentic, rather than forcing it to be polite. Another powerful but often overlooked practice is keeping a journal just for you. Write unfiltered thoughts, unpolished emotions, even the dark corners you'd never share. Write as if no one will read it. In those moments, when you don't need to be rational or correct, you begin to peel away the mask of roles. That's where you can breathe, whole and unscripted. Number 5. Quality 5. Silent presence. When a woman no longer identifies with her roles, when she sheds each layer of the social mask without fear of revealing her true face, she steps into a unique space where she doesn't need to prove anything, do anything, or achieve anything. She just is. And that very presence, quiet yet profound, becomes an unshakable source of strength. This is inner stillness, a deep state that Carl Jung alluded to as the point of contact with the truest essence, the self. In a relentlessly moving world, where noise has become the default soundtrack of life, where people rush to speak, react, and share, a woman who enters without clamor, yet whose presence you distinctly feel, is living in inner stillness. She doesn't need to do something to be seen. She doesn't rush to interject in conversations. She doesn't react instinctively when challenged. Sometimes, it begins with turning off your phone for 10 minutes and simply breathing deeply, or writing down what you feel without judgment, or walking without music, listening to the sound of leaves falling. These are small but consistent acts that create an inner white space where the mind truly rests, emotions breathe, and the self is present without being pulled to the past or fearing the future. This is a spiritual sanctuary where a woman needs no shield because there's nothing to conceal. Another equally valuable practice is to choose a daily task and do it fully. For example, brew a cup of tea without checking your phone. Fold clothes without letting your mind wander to other tasks. When showering, feel the warmth of the water on your skin. These small acts remind your body that presence doesn't need a grand reason. You just need to pause long enough to feel. Have you tried these practices? Do they resonate with you? Share your thoughts and feedback. We're always listening to your reflections. They are a vibrant source of inspiration for this journey to continue. Carl Jung once said that inner stillness is the prerequisite for hearing the soul's voice. In stillness, intuition begins to speak. Emotions start to align. What seemed complex becomes simple, not because problems vanish, but because you're no longer clinging to them with fear. And with inner stillness, you become an anchor for yourself and others. Your children seek you not just for advice, but for the safety you embody. Your partner listens, not just because you're right, but because you carry steadfastness. Those around you feel they can let go in your presence, not because you seek control, but because you are truly present. Such a woman is not easily provoked, challenged, or swayed, not because she lacks emotions, but because she has a mountain within her. No matter how strong the winds, she stands firm, for her presence is her loudest voice. Number 6. Quality. 6. Continuous transformation. The moment a woman touches inner stillness, setbacks no longer shatter her as they once did. They become raw material for recreating herself. Losses are no longer endings, but new doorways. Wounds are no longer cuts, but pathways to deeper layers of her being. This is the state of continuous transformation, where a woman doesn't avoid suffering, but uses it as a catalyst for spiritual growth. Carl Jung deeply studied ancient alchemy, not as a mystical chemistry, but as a metaphor for the soul's development. He believed that, just as alchemists sought to turn base metals into gold, a courageous person can transform pain, darkness, and chaos into awareness, wisdom, and awakening. A steadfast woman lives in this alchemical process without ceasing. In reality, no one escapes upheaval. Everyone will lose something: a loved one, a relationship, a job, an identity, a belief. The difference lies in how they respond. Some collapse, trying to glue things back as they were, denying they've changed. Others freeze their emotions, build walls, and carry on with the desolate inner landscape. Then there are those, fewer but stronger, who choose to stay with the pain, walk through it, and touch something deeper. A woman with the quality of transformation is such a person. She doesn't rush past stages, she doesn't deny pain, but she believes every pain arrives to guide, not to punish. Picture this process as a volcano within. Each wound is an eruption, seemingly destructive, yet it forms new, fertile ground on the soul's surface. As long as you don't bury it with denial or freeze it with control, that lava, once cooled, becomes a place to sow new life. A woman once wrote to us after a deeply painful divorce. She had shut down, living in guilt and viewing the collapse as proof of her failure. But instead of running, she began asking, "What part of myself did I neglect? What did this loss teach me about my limits, values, and love?" Those seemingly simple questions became catalysts for transformation. She was no longer the person she was, not living for illusions or fear of abandonment. Now, she lives consciously, no longer ruled by wounds from the shadows. Jung believed that true transformation must pass through the dark layer, chaos, dissolution, and disorientation. No one reaches the light without getting lost in the night. But if you stay in that night long enough, if you resist escaping with superficial fixes, you'll see. The light doesn't come from outside. It begins to glow within you. This journey doesn't demand haste. Some days, you'll feel you've moved past the old. Other days, you'll cry over memories you thought were healed. That's okay. Alchemy isn't a single forging, but a distillation of emotions, drop by drop, layer by layer. You'll know you've transformed when the past no longer manipulates you, when you can speak of old stories without choking up, when you can stand before someone who hurt you and not feel small, when you don't need to forget the basement of the unconscious, to unnamed memories. No light, no map, but presence. And she no longer fears getting lost, for she knows, sometimes, only by losing your way in the outer world, do you find the path home. Existential psychology confirms that true maturity comes from embracing finitude, realizing life doesn't last forever, and that very limit gives each experience meaning. A woman living an inner journey doesn't flee from loss, doesn't trade stillness for achievements, and doesn't seek quick fixes for life's big questions. She learns to dwell in the question and let it guide her. Unlike the outer journey, where success is measured by speed, results, and recognition, the inner journey has no report card for comparison. There's only one measure: how authentically you are living. You may slow down, fall behind the race, have nothing new to flaunt to the world. But if you understand yourself more, judge yourself less, cry more honestly, breathe more deeply, you are traveling far. A woman living in depth is like a seasoned sailor. She doesn't try to calm the waves or hide from storms. She learns to read the sky for winds, feel the water to know when to unfurl the sails or pull them in. She doesn't resist the ocean. She learns to dance with it. And if you've ever wondered, how do I become an unshakable woman? The answer isn't in adding something, but in letting go, releasing expectations, roles, masks, even the words you told yourself in fear. Beneath all that is you, authentic, primal, quietly powerful. If this video has made you see yourself from a new angle, if it's helped you realize there's something in you that needs no explanation or proof, don't leave yet. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications today so we can continue this journey together in future videos.